Hello and welcome to Mark Johnson, Chairman of the IoD in Oxfordshire. Mark, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Richard, and great to be here and great to join you. Thank you.
No, thanks for joining us. So, Mark, tell us a little bit about the IoD and why you. Well, tell us why you got involved, really, because
yes,
it's a short-term role, relatively short-term role, and a little bit more about what you do.
Yeah, sure. So the IoD, I got firstly involved in the IoD because I wanted to develop as a director and as a leader of an organisation, and then the IoD's premise has changed a little bit, and I'll come on to that a little bit later. But the IoD's, let's say the strategy and where it wants to position itself has changed a little bit over the years. But I got involved in 2017, so I joined up. And another director in our business is part of the IoD as well. And after I'd done my chart, I really joined up to do the chartered director status and go through that educational program, and that was really phenomenal. It was great for me. I met a lot of really good people on the course, and the outcome of the course itself was very beneficial for me personally. And when I got to the end of the course, within about the next 12 months, my membership fee came up again for renewal. And I was thinking to myself, well, I haven't really gone out of my way to interact with people. I haven't really put myself out there to really get as much as I could from the membership that I had of the IoD. And frankly, because I didn't know what was on offer or what the IoD was about really for me personally to get involved in. And so I took the plunge and applied for the chairman status of the chair of the Oxfordshire branch, because the company that I work for, Advanced Fibre-optic Engineering Limited, is based in Carterton, and so I'm an Oxfordshire member, and I joined from that point of view. And I really liked what the IoD was becoming. So they'd been through a lot of changes over the last 18 months to 2 years with regard to the strategy of how they want to position themselves. And unfortunately, that fell halfway through the pandemic that we've just all been through as well. So a lot of sort of soul searching and head scratching of how we wanted to be seen. And I liked some of the plans that had been done before the pandemic and through the pandemic. And so I wanted to be involved in rolling those out, helping the IoD to represent what I saw as a very credible membership organisation who had some quite high quality resources, but just hadn't done the job of promoting it very well or getting it out there, the message of what the IoD is. So coming on to what I see the IoD is, so it's a membership organisation specifically for directors or leaders of organisations, and not necessarily for whole boards, but for the individual directors. It's been renowned for its corporate governance expertise, which it still holds, but it's taking, in addition to that, it's taking along the connecting, developing and influencing of directors. So connecting from a sense of similarly with the types of events and things that B4 do with regard to connecting businesses and individuals, and it's all about relationships at the end of the day. So doing some of that work. Developing is more about, as I said, the chartered director is the sort of the let's say the mainstay qualification for these guys, and then they've got lots of different avenues and qualifications that you can do as on the run up to that if you're interested in doing it, because it's not for everybody. And then the influencing side of things is really having the voice of business to which goes directly into the Cabinet Office in Westminster. We've got some very good connections within the organisation into the existing current government. And also to the opposition, because we're a non-political organisation, so we represent our members, but into Westminster across all political parties, and so that's really the three pillars of where the business or where the organisation is going now. And we're starting to make some traction in those areas, which I'm really pleased about. So yeah, it was really something I wanted to do to develop myself personally, which has now turned into me actually joining and working for the organisation on a basis that helps me get involved in trying to change how we're perceived, not only in Oxfordshire but hopefully across the UK.
Well, you've answered almost all of my questions already. I'm going to go off piste here a little bit. You talk about the IoD, I know you're referencing Oxfordshire because that's obviously your patch, but tell us a little bit more about the extent and the reach and the sort of the national makeup, just to show us how powerful it is in having a voice with Cabinet, for example.
Yeah, sure. So we're split into regions. So the Oxfordshire branch is part of the South region, which covers pretty much the southeast, and it is split up into these regions within the UK. So and there is Welsh, Scottish, and Northern Ireland as well. They actually do have some other organisations. There's an IoD in China, and there's an IoD in Mauritius as well, and lots of other sort of quite unique places. But
sounds vaguely suspicious, that does.
I couldn't possibly comment, but basically it does have a far reach, certainly in the UK, and it's looking to expand certainly in China, and I believe in Japan as well. And it really is to set up a global reach, really, to become the recognised organisation for directors with a royal charter to boot. So it's getting that wider reach. It's growing all the time, but I think where it's repositioning itself is, and in the landscape of other organisations that also support business, such as the CBI and the LEPs, etc. We are, I'd say, positioning ourselves with regard to trying to focus on and do surveys against our membership for what businesses want. There's a hell of a lot going on in the business community at the moment. We've just come through Brexit, for good or for bad. You know, we've got to work through it as organisations and deal with it the best we can. And so being the voice of some of the struggles that people are finding, and certainly I've had personal struggles in my business as AFE, as well as my other business, Curry, and that's been importing and exporting and that type of thing. So it's being that voice of business, and being able to take the voices of individuals and also their businesses and putting that forward as almost a policy voice, if you like, through the government and policy unit, which is one area of the IoD that's being focused on.
Mark, it's great to have the IoD involved with B4, and it's I think it represents how all of the membership organisations should work together going forward. We all offer something differently, as you've already referenced. How important is it to you to work with not just B4 but other organisations that can offer the business community out there as much support as possible?
Yeah, so it's a really good question, actually, because when I first joined the IoD, one thing I realised is that clearly coming out of a pandemic as well, I wasn't aware of how much we'd reached out to other organisations to potentially partner with. There's already, you guys have been existing for 15 years. There's a local enterprise partnership that's been around, a long time, and similarly with the CBI. So within the landscape of membership organisations, I think that everyone offers different. Some of the things are the same, some of the things are quite similar, but a lot of differences to the businesses, and it's a different connecting environment with different people as well. And so I think that one of the main things I wanted to do when I first joined was make sure that we were working alongside all of these other organisations, because you need to work together, right? If you're in a similar space, so we're all membership organisations, and but we just need to learn from each other and make sure that we're delivering the best to the community, because that's what we're serving at the end of the day, and the best to our members who are paying for their memberships. And
maybe there's a call for us to be even more closely joined up going forward, so that things like events, etc., are planned not at the same time, and maybe take away some of the confusion.
Absolutely,
organisations out there. So that might be a conversation that we have. Yeah. Mark, just sort of in conclusion, maybe just give us your sort of I don't want to say top 3 or top 5, but your key objectives for the IoD in your role as chairman over the next during your tenure, basically. Yeah.
So the tenure for any chairman or ambassador is 3 years. So it's enough time to sort of change things if you want to for yourself, and enough time to connect with lots of good and interesting people. But my plan really was to, firstly, for the first few months, is to see how the existing team was working. We already had a good team of 4 ambassadors, which I've increased to 8. So we've got quite a bit more horsepower behind us to be able to move things and plan things forward. We're in the process at the moment, Richard, of assessing, with the skills that we have in the team, the schedule of events over the next 3 years, the schedule of activity, the outreach programs that the IoD is going to start doing, and how we can really better connect with our own community as well as other communities. And so really at the moment I'm in a period of where myself and the team have been reviewing the skills in the team and putting forward some plans for the next 3 years. That'll be finishing. I should have finished at the end of July. I've given them another week to complete all of their planning documents. And then we'll be putting a scheduling activity together for the next 3 years to really hit the ground running in September. So that's where it is at the moment. But really, it was about wanting to, from my point of view, wanting the IoD to be seen for what I believe is the organisation that it is, which is credible, professional, working for directors, and doing the best that it can for its membership, really.
And you referenced, just to sort of not a light-hearted note necessarily, but you've got a living, breathing entity that you run with your wife, Ben Curry.
Yes.
You're probably wondering what I was going to say then. Just that's benefiting, I'm sure, from your experience of connecting with the business community and learning from your learnings of the IoD. Tell us a little bit more about Ben Curry, because it's quite an intriguing concept.
Yes. So me and my wife set up this business or my wife was looking, after we had our second child, my wife was looking for a business plan or a business opportunity she could get into, and decided on Bang Curry. It stands for Bangladeshi curry, and she has a range of family recipes that we've distilled. It took us about 12 months to develop these recipes down into a distilled range of curry kits. And now so a few years later, so 5 years we've been trading, and we did an investment round in 2019, which was successful, fortunately for us, and we're going for another one towards the end of this year. So the business has been booming. I say booming. It significantly grew over the period during the lockdown because we focused our efforts on the online sales. But yeah, it's an exciting business to be involved in. It does tend to take over your life because it's at home. Well, it's not at home anymore, but you're kind of living and breathing this thing. Anything outside of AFE or the IoD that I do is Bang Curry effectively. But we did move into our first premises in late April this year. So we've had a few quite key milestones over the last couple of years, which has been pretty exciting.
Fantastic. No truth in the rumour that the IoD breakfast are sort of dominated by curry and
not quite yet, but I'll have to work on Blenheim Palace to see if they can change their menu for the breakfast.
Fantastic, brilliant. Well, lovely to meet you, Mark, and good luck in your role, and hopefully we'll see you at our forthcoming B4 events.
Definitely.
Next 3 years.